Hi and welcome back. In this video we're looking just at a few things that we can do with lists, tuples and sets. The first thing that we can do with a list that we cannot do with a tuple is to increase its size. So I'm going to just remove a few elements from these things so they're a bit easier to understand. So we can do something like grades.append 100. And what that will do is it will add an item at the end. That's what append means. So when we print grades out, which I will do now, I'm going to first clear this though. I'm going to run the program, it's going to print grades, and I'm sure that you know what is going to come out. Remember, we've got the list with 3 elements, and then we're adding one at the end. So what comes out is the ordered list. Lists are always ordered in the order that we put elements in. So it's not an ascending order. If we change this for 50 and we run this again, the 50 is still at the end. So it's not ascending order, it's just the order that it was created in. So in this case, 77, 80, 90, and then 50 at the end. The tuple, however, you cannot do this. So you cannot increase the size of the tuple. But what we can do, however, is to change the tuple entirely. We can say tuple grades is tuple grades plus 100. And notice that this is some very specific syntax I'm using here, and I'm going to show you exactly what that is. What I'm saying is tuple grades is a box that currently has this tuple. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say tuple grades is a box, and is a box that has this value. Notice that the fact that I'm using tuple grades to assign to tuple grades isn't a problem in Python. All that this will do is it will evaluate the right side first, and then it will put it into this box. So all it will do is it will say, what's tuple grades? Oh, that's this tuple here, 77, 80, 90. And it's going to add another tuple to it, which is 100. Notice how there has to be a comma at the end. If there is no comma, this is not a tuple, this is a number with a pair of useless brackets around it. So you must have the comma there if you only have one element. If you have 2 elements, then you'll always have the comma there, of course, because you need to separate the elements somehow. Okay, so make sure to keep the comma, and then we're going to run this, and you can know what's going to come out. And it is as you would expect. We've not changed the tuple. The tuple is still 77, 80, 90. What we've done is we have calculated what it would be to add 2 tuples, and we've put that in the variable. So we've not actually changed this tuple. We've only calculated a new tuple. Okay? So that is all good. But what do I mean with change the tuple? Well, there's a few things that we can do. I'm going to delete that line, and I'm going to say print grades 0. Notice how we've got some square brackets there, and inside it we've got 0. This grades variable is our list, and we know that there is no value 0 in this list. So what do you think this is going to do when we run it? Will it give us an error? Will it print something out? Well, let's find out. Okay, so 77 comes out. There's no error, and that's because this 0 here is not meaning one of these values. It's meaning the position of the value. We always start counting from 0, so grades 0 is the first element, grades 1 would be the second element, grades 2 would be the third element, and so on. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2. And obviously, because this is a list and we can change lists, we can also say grades 0 is 60. And then we can assign a value to this specific element. So I'm going to save that and run it again. And what do you think is going to come out now? We've probably changed element number 0. And now we're printing the grades after it. So what do you think is going to be printed out? as you would expect, the 60, 80, 90 because the list has changed. We've changed the 0th element, the first element, and we've made it 60 instead of 77. Now I'm going to copy this tuple grades and paste it in here. And what do you think is going to happen when we run this? Knowing that a tuple is immutable and you cannot change it. And this is what we get. We get a traceback, just a list of what went wrong. And it says that it went wrong in our file, line 6, and the line that failed is tuple grades 0 equals 60. This equal sign is called assignment, and that's when we assign a value, 60 in this case, to something, in this case tuple grades 0. So the error we get is a type error, that it says a tuple object does not support item assignment. You cannot assign things. Why? Because assignment will most likely change things. And you cannot change things because this is a tuple, and tuples are immutable. So this fails, because we cannot change the values in a tuple. Finally, let's have a look at set grades. This is a bit of a funny one, because we know that sets are not immutable, so we should be able to change it, but we also know they are unordered. So if they don't have an order, which element is element number 0? Is it 77? Is it 80? Is it 90? Is it any of them? So what do you think will happen when we run the file now? The same thing. Because it's unordered, it doesn't make sense to access a specific element because the element may not be the same every time. So we get essentially the same error. A set object does not support item assignment. However, we can add things to a set. We can do that with the add method. So we can say set underscore grades dot add and then add the 60 to it. And as you can see, that puts the 60 in there in the set somewhere. And of course, if we run this twice, this still only appears once. We don't get an error, we just get nothing, because the 60 was already there when we added it. So it only appears once. Okay, so this is a few things that you can do with lists, tuples, and sets, and we've also looked at exactly what immutable means, and also some things that you cannot do with tuples and sets, and we've also looked at how to append elements to a list, and that's just doing grades.append, and then we can append another element to the list. In the next video, we're going to look at some more advanced and specific set operations that we can use, and they have a very particular set of use cases or scenarios that we may want to use them in computer science and in software development. So pay attention, and I'll see you in the very next video.